So, last time we left off, we had our attack QTE, the slider bar, set up so that we could call it independent of our player class. And we built a little bit of infrastructure around calling our QTEs independent of the criteria and the results for using them. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my player normal attack to use that new infrastructure and get rid of some of the redundant code in this class. So we had this player skill controller, and we interacted with the QTE by starting this coroutine on this QTE command factory that is accessible from my IOC container. So I'm just going to do a similar thing here. So attack enemy gets called when the player hits the A button during battle. So I want to keep this and these, and I'm going to yield return start coroutine the input was a target slider QTE input. I'll come back to that in a minute. Engage button is going to be A button. Can engage. That has some criteria around it, but I'm going to come back to that in a second. And the result Yeah, so all I need from the result is I need to set these variables, and the rest of this can stay here. So, next attack hit, next attack critical. Yeah. Okay, so the inputs. The input was the critical width and normal width. Now, my show attack QTE, which I'm going to go ahead and split up my Visual Studio window here, so I can come here and look at this. Normal width and critical width. So reverse direction is always false. Normal width is equal to calculate normal attack accuracy. Critical width is equal to calculate critical attack accuracy, and that's it. The criteria for whether we can engage is going to be if this dot focused enemy is not equal to null and this dot focused enemy is equal to the target, which in this case the target is equal to focused enemy transform. Now, on complete is going to take this result, and we are going to say target slider QT result is equal to this dot next attack hit is equal to res dot success. This dot next attack critical is equal to res dot critical. And this goes away. And this proceeds. Since we're yield returning at this point, we're going to hit our onComplete, and the execution is going to pop right down here. And we're good. Maybe. Probably. Let's go ahead and build. Let's go ahead and run. And give a little attack here. Look good to me. All right. So show attack. Oops. Use it around. Show attack QTE is now not being called by anything else. Goodbye. Okay, so that's fine. Now, how about the guard QTE? We kind of left that sitting around in limbo. He needs a similar treatment. So we've got our target slider QTE, which now implements this IQTE interface. I want my guard QTE to do the same thing. Oops. Okay, so I did a little bit of, so I already have a little bit of pooling going on with this guy, since I'd initially had this guy coming from the object pool, whereas the attack controller was attached to the enemy every time. Which does remind me as well, I need to go ahead and update my prefab here. So, canvas, attached enemy, oh, I already did it. Would you look at that? Because I didn't need to do that anyways. I thought I was still having the, wait, was that the enemy or was that the enemy unit? Let me just double check that real quick. That was the, yeah, okay, so that was the attached unit, or the enemy unit. So attack QTE on this guy needs to go away. The enemy units themselves yeah, they only have a display on it, which isn't used at the moment, but when I do a scanning skill or something that allows you to inspect the enemy unit, I want to have that enemy display there. But let me just go ahead and make sure that that still works, since I deleted that existing thing off of there. Yeah, we're good. We are Gouda. So, this guy's already got some object pooling shenanigans. Attached actor. This guy calls attached to this. Yeah. Which begs the question, if the parent object is destroyed in our previous statement, are we doing anything to re-pool the QTE object? Well, if we're getting into here, we're waiting till it's disabled, and it's going to be disabled before destruction, I believe. But I guess we'll find out once we do this, because the guard QTE is the only one that can actually be enabled while the enemy is killed. So, IQTE, we've got activate, get result, and is enabled is going to return is dot enabled. The mono behavior enabled. I want to put that on one line. We have a guard QTE input. Did I call them input and output, or did I call it input and result? Input and result. Let's keep it consistent. And this guy just has a bool for if it's successful or not. Oops. Thought that felt weird. Activate. So it's calling attach to, which is going to be this transform set parent, and then it's hooking up to some events. And on killed, he does a return to pool, which sets the parent to null, enabled is false, attached actor is null. What about this actually returns the object to the object pool, though? I mean, really? Is it counting on this to return it to the pool? Yeah, I think that's largely unnecessary, actually. So, until until further notice here, I'm going to go ahead and just use a similar thing to this, right? So, transform set parent. I don't need those middle four. It's kind of seeming like this interface is going to become an abstract class instead, based on just the commonality here. So, activate, get rid of you, enabled is true, get the results. I'm going to have some inputs here in a few minutes. I got some specific positioning going on here. Yeah, I'm going to want to allow for some kind of a offset position and rotation. But I'll come back and do that in a few minutes. So, but I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna hang on to that little bit of code here. So, local position, rotation, set the object active, enable the QTE. While QTE is not enabled, this dot focus. Same criteria as the other one, with the addition of checking that the player is not attacking. Button B. Where's my attack? There you are. I'm just going to go ahead and take you. The result is going to be his guarding is equal to whether that was successful. And then we just call the base dot on damage, which will use this value to determine if the player was guarding or not, and reduce the damage accordingly. So now we're no longer calling this guy from anywhere. So let's go ahead and make sure this is working. And we should be able to tell pretty quickly because the position is going to be such that the circles will be halfway into the ground. So I'll just wait for this guy to attack, and no, that's really small. Let's get a pause on that. All right. What you working with? What's going on here? Guard prompt. Oh, yes, of course. The parent is not the same. On damage, there you are. Because you are focused enemy.transform. No, you are attacker. Attacker is a transform. Yes. And anything else in here in regards to that? We only want to respond to the QTE if we're looking at the attacker. A second there. Wait a tick. I have a member called Focused Enemy as well. I'm not a fan of this. Attack enemy, and that's the enemy. Target enemy. And yeah, you picked that up appropriately good. Good. Okay. Now then, let's try that again. And I have to figure out what's going on with this monitor switching. My video is not switching correctly. At least not automatically. But let's go ahead and see our QTE going. Yep, that's about what I expected. So it's on the enemy without the offset that I had before. So there it is. One guard prompt. Our object pool has been decreased by 1 because I had initial 5 starting capacity. And it appears to be working just fine. So let's confirm that. Unguarded is a little bit less than half. And that was about 50% of that damage. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this window switching. I'll have to figure that out. But in the meantime, it looked like that more or less worked, though I do need to provide it with an offset. And realistically, I need to provide every QTE with an offset. So now let's see here. I'm okay with sticking with those hard-coded values for the moment. And there we go. It's nice and centered. I can get rid of this show guard QTE. I'm starting to get a little cleaned up, though this is a little messier than I would like it to be honest. but I'm fine with it for the moment. So what do we got going on here? Well, really, what else do I want to accomplish this evening? I mean, I kind of accomplished everything I wanted to set out to do today. So is there any other leftover little tidbits that I can crack out real quick? Well, it's almost half an hour. I guess in the next part, we can tackle... What can we tackle? So I've got an active skill. It uses a QTE that's separate from my kind of hacky way of doing QTEs before. I've extracted out my QTE stuff and kind of made a common methodology of invoking them and getting results out of them. Implemented my SP system and got that all wired up and working. Yeah, I guess I'll have to go back to my to-do list and see what's next to take care of. Anyways, thanks for watching and have a nice night.